to North Korea. So it has been stated a number of times in this committee by military experts that it is no longer a matter of if, but when North Korea is going to have an intercontinental ballistic nuclear missile that can range the entire United States of America. Do you agree with that assessment?
I'd say it depends on what we,
but when?
well, I'd say it depends on what we do, Senator.
Well, let me actually get to that. And by the way, I actually agree with Senator Blumenthal's point about allowing the American people to have a sense of when that may or may not, both classified and unclassified, but I think getting it out there will prepare the U.S. public for a really challenging national security issue that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to. Yesterday in testimony, or 2 days ago in testimony, Director Coates stated it was the policy of the United States to prevent that capability from ever being realized. Is that your understanding of the policy, General?
Absolutely. That's my understanding of the current United States government's policy is to prevent North Korea from fielding an intercontinental ballistic missile with a nuclear weapon to strike the continental United States. I believe
so that's a red line in some ways that we...
I wouldn't use that word. I don't use any words like that, but I believe that's the U.S. policy is to prevent that capability from being fielded by North Korea.
So if we had to take action against North Korea to prevent that from happening, would your U.S. Army forces and the entire weight and power of the U.S. military dominate the battlefield to make sure we achieve that goal? If we had to?
I mean, I believe yes, but I don't want to go much beyond that. Absolutely yes, us and the ROK Army would dominate the battlefield. North Korea would not succeed, and North Korea would lose. The cost would be huge, but North Korea would lose.
Let me actually, two questions. Do you need anything more? What do you need from this committee or the Congress to ensure that we would dominate and prevail if that day, God forbid, ever came?
I think the priorities that we laid out in our opening statements and are in the budget, that's what I think we need. And most importantly, we need predictable funding over time.
Let me ask, General, you and I both talked about the book T.R. Fehrenbach's This Kind of War a number of times, the whole issue of no more Task Force Smiths. Could you describe what a war with North Korea would look like, and would it be similar to what we've seen over the last 15 years in Iraq and Afghanistan?
No, it would not look anything like the war in Iraq and Afghanistan.
What would it look like?
Well, it depends on the, our actions, action, reaction, counteraction. There's several different possibilities, and I don't want to go into any great detail on any of them, but I can assure
what would it likely look like?
If there was a full-blown war on the Korean Peninsula, just as Secretary of Defense Mattis said the other day, it would be tragic on an unbelievable scale, and the levels of violence would be immense, and it would be the likes of which the world hasn't seen since the Second World War. It would be huge, and there'd be huge amounts of casualties.
On both sides? On
both sides, yes. It would be horrific, but I don't want to go into the details of what that would look like, and that would get into the realm of speculation or contingency plans, and that'd be